When I left my job to retire early at 55, I thought the biggest change would be having more time. But it turns out that actually the biggest change is inside your head. So here's what the first 2 months feels like and what's really surprised me. Hi, this is Simon from Salary to Side Hustle. So let's get into the first one, which is identity shift. And the first identity shift is that I've become a mammal, not the usual one in Leica, but the YouTube retirement channel cliche of middle-aged man in the landscape. And I'm actually really enjoying it, and I hope you are too. And the main thing for me so far is I've not had that oh no moment, what have I done? I did actually wonder on day one, well actually on my last day at work, because it was absolutely tipping it down when I went out to the car, and it felt like a really inauspicious end to my career and start to my retirement. But as it turns out, things are okay. We're doing quite well. And I have had fleeting thoughts of returning to work, absolutely not doing the same thing I used to do, but maybe in some capacity. But really, it's a background idea. I don't think anything will come of it, but it's just one of those things that keeps kind of coming back to me occasionally. And so at this point, I'm finding myself in what I'm calling the work optional phase. It's the choice to do work or not to do work, and the main thing is there's no obligation. There's freedom here. It's a choice. There's autonomy in terms of whether I decide to do anything or not. So that's my general feelings about not working. I have some feelings of guilt as well, particularly when I'm waving my wife off to work in the morning, and she's actually going to work at the exact same place where I worked as well. So that's a particularly spiky feeling of guilt. I must admit she's absolutely brilliant about it, but it does leave me feeling a little bit guilty. And I guess the main takeaway from this identity shift is that it doesn't feel permanent yet. I'm still only 2 months in, which, as you can imagine, is a very short period. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of feeling of the identity shift. There has been one, but it's nothing drastic. So let's talk now about usefulness and meaning. Do I still feel useful? And that's a background question for me still. Nags away a little bit like the will I go back to work, but both of them are very, very background, don't really take up much of my time and thinking. But work does give you that automatic usefulness in the way that now I have to search it out and create my own usefulness. And I'm also a little bit worried that life will turn into a series of old people's activities. I guess pickleball, which actually isn't an old people's activity, but is kind of synonymous with it, is the first step in that direction. One of my ex-colleagues got a little bit confused and asked my wife if she was joining me playing bowls. I think she meant pickleball. So no offense to the bowls players out there, but that's the kind of thing I think people have in mind, and not where I see myself going just now, but you know, give me a few years, who knows. So actually, life is more varied now because I'm not protecting the time I used to because of the impact of work on my life. And really, it comes down to making my own usefulness now, which is proving reasonably successful so far. And this channel is part of that. So I said at the start of the video that the biggest change wasn't really the availability of more time. That is definitely a thing. I do obviously have more time now, but days don't necessarily feel longer. Sometimes the opposite. It does amaze me when the weeks continue to fly by. I expected to be struggling to fill my time, at least some of the time, but so far that's turning out to not be the case. The days are sometimes whizzing by, and what I'm intending to do that day doesn't get done because I've ended up doing something else, or actually just decided to do nothing. But there are less interruptions now, so if I want to do something that's going to take a little bit more concerted effort and time, I can do that. And the background nags of, oh, here we go, it's the next reporting cycle, how we're going to present this month's challenges, that's disappeared completely. But I do favour a general routine in terms of my time, and I've kept the alarm going at the same time as when I worked. It was only 7 o'clock anyway, which for many is probably a lie-in already, but it just gives me that starting structure to the day, which I really value. And the days really just run at their own pace. They unfold as they do. And it's been really surprising how quickly that's become normal. It doesn't feel unusual at all. It was really only day one of my retirement, well, the first Monday to be precise, when I felt I really needed to, make sure I was doing a professional job of being retired. Since then, everything has just kind of fallen into place, and it's all pretty relaxed. So that's where we are on time. Now, what about status? That's always a biggie for people. And work often gives built-in status. That does depend somewhat on your role. And I had a relatively senior role in the organisation I was in, so it did come with a small amount of status. And now, conversely, I have no team, no job, but also no inbox of people partly nagging me, but also relying on me to do useful things for them, which is often a nice feeling. And as you'd expect, and certainly I 100% expected, work has just carried on without me. With my wife still working at the same place as I did, I've still obviously got a very close insight into what's going on there, and they've carried on without me quite happily. And the reality is I don't give work a second thought, so I certainly can't complain in any way that they should be missing me, because apart from the colleagues that I still occasionally see, I really don't give it a second thought. But I do wonder over time if I will lose the connections with working people and the things in common to talk about. It doesn't feel like that's happened yet, but also, my wife continues to work. From that point of view, I think I'll always have a toe in the water, as it were, at least until she retires as well. And the main thing for me is I never really defined myself by my job. So I'm not defining myself by being an X something. I'm just carrying on, and I'm learning, I'm adapting, I'm actually probably learning more over the last couple of months than I've learned in quite a long time. So it's been really a really good experience. So that is the status aspect. Now let's talk about another one of the biggies: finance and money. So we've been really lucky to be able to aggressively save for the last 5+ years. And that's been a lovely feeling. Every month, some more money goes on the savings tab in the spreadsheet. And if we're lucky, there's been a little bit of growth and everything goes in the right direction. And now, obviously, we're not able to aggressively save because one of the salaries has disappeared. My wife and I actually did exactly the same job, bizarrely, at least by the end of our careers. So literally, we took our income in half by me retiring. And now it's time to move away from aggressively saving to actually starting to spend. I think the industry term is to go from the accumulation phase to the deaccumulation phase. And I'm pretty sure I will struggle with that. I like having a nest egg. I'm not naturally a crazy spender anyway, and happily neither is my other half. But we very much try not to question every purchase made and just to buy what we think we need without going nuts. And I certainly do miss the monthly salary drop. Obviously, I've got my side hustles, which are ticking along very nicely, but it's not quite the same as every month your full salary coming into your bank account. I've also found myself more interested than ever in the UK budget, the autumn statement with the Chancellor Rachel Reeves. That definitely had some potential to hold the early retirement ship below the water, but as things are, there's no huge impact on that for us. One small thing really that has changed is I've got a fairly old car. How old is it now? 13 years old. It's actually a dogmobile. Sadly, no dog anymore. But we bought it when the dog was, well, what must he have been? He must have been about 18 months old. And the idea was that we keep it until we no longer have him, and then we'd probably replace it with another car. But given my decision to go into early retirement, I'm now probably left with that car for a little bit longer than I was expecting, and that's fine, but it does feel slightly different when you're not sort of sitting there thinking, do you know what, I could just chop this in tomorrow and get another one. You really have to think quite carefully about it. So definitely a small amount of kind of, I guess that's probably back to status there that I feel from having a little bit of an older car, but it doesn't really bother me enough to go out and spend anything on it. So fundamentally, the financial plan, it continues to work. So let's talk now about daily life and routine. I've got to admit the days are merging a bit. There's no longer the differentiation between weekend and the weekdays quite in the same way they were. And we've just been away for a few days as well, which never helps keep your kind of mind on what day of the week it is. And actually, just this morning, my wife, she's also a runner. She wanted to go out for a morning run today, and I was sort of going, hang on, how can you do that? It's club night tonight, which is actually a Wednesday, and today is a Tuesday. So you can see I've already got my days mixed up there. I guess one of the main things in giving at work is you don't get the free and automatic social interactions that happen in the office. I know a lot of people miss that during COVID, and certainly I used to enjoy sitting with what were a really lovely group of people, and just enjoying those sort of natural social interactions. So I do miss that. Happily, I've got the work quiz this Thursday night from where I used to work, so I'll see a bunch of people then. It'll be interesting to see what questions they've got for me, if any. And I know a few people have sniffed out this YouTube channel, so if you are from, where I used to work, hello, good to see you. I haven't really formed a weekly routine yet. I'm not really a routine kind of person, to be honest, other than the getting up bit I mentioned earlier. And I hope, really, I never do. I like variety. I like a bit of unexpected stuff going on, as long as it's not too drastic. So yeah, I think I'm quite happy with a relatively fluid retirement. And really, whatever patterns I form now are going to be inherently temporary anyway, because in the relatively near future, my wife will retire, and then we'll have to form a new set of routines and patterns ourselves anyway. It'll be interesting how that goes, because she does prefer routine to me, so we'll have to come to some kind of agreement, but we've been together long enough to work that one through. And I've been signing up for more running races, which for many of you would be something you dread, but for me is a nice thing to do. On that note, the trip away we just did actually had a running race within it, and for me, all the best holidays have races in them. It's just something that I enjoy, particularly if it's somewhere abroad where the weather's a bit nicer and there are thousands of people and the roads are shut and there's all a bit of energy. So the only downside to that trip is that I came back with man flu. You can probably tell. I've been rough for several days now. I think it was on the flight out from Bristol. A few of us caught it, and it's just lingered a bit. But I think I'm more or less over it now. But I am a little bit croaky and certainly a little bit knackered. But if you put that to one side, overall, I think I'm feeling better. I'd actually developed a couple of little nervous tics as a result of work stress, certainly in the latter years, and they seem to have disappeared. So I've got to see that as a good sign. So that's where I'm at after 2 months. It's definitely the right decision for me, but there have been a few trade-offs, none of them too drastic. And it would be great to have you along to share the rest of this journey. This is Simon from Salary to Side Hustle. Bye for now.